when you're making jambalaya, it can be as simple or as complicated as you want. And today we're going to focus on just kind of getting you going. So if you've never made jambalaya before, you're at the right show. But even if you've got tons of experience, you might learn a little something here and certainly enjoy our banter back and forth. We got some real special folks joining us today. Of course, Cousin David will be here. And we've got my friend from high school who is actually on the ground outside the stadium in Alabama for the game. And he's actually cooking up jambalaya too, and he should be done pretty soon here. So we'll bring him in. Okay, so as far as making your own goes, what we're doing today is actually really, really simple. We got this Louisiana fish fry product. It's their jambalaya mix. Now you're going, oh my God, he's starting with mix. Yes, I'm starting with mix, and here's why. Sometimes you just want to get something going and you want to do it quickly. You don't, and especially if you don't have any experience making jambalaya, this is the right way to do it. You just you find a mix and then you start with that flavor and then you base your own taste and then you start to go, okay, well, I'm going to make my own, I'm going to cut up my vegetables and I'm going to make my own seasoning and I'm going to try different seasonings, whatever that is. You have that opportunity, but this is a great place to start. And actually, we've had quite a bit of experience making jambalaya. David more than I, and then my friend Gary, he also has had quite a bit of experience. So actually, I got a chance to talk with him a little bit earlier, and I'm gonna cut over to that video, and we can take a look. They're getting ready. Actually, they're getting close to getting done at this point, I believe. And let's see here. Let me bring him on. So you're cooking the pork right now?
Yeah, browning the pork right now.
Okay.
I'm starting off. I'll pull this out once it's good and browned, and throw the sausage in just to get the sausage warmed up and
Yep.
a little bit browned. I don't brown the sausage too much because if you toss it around a whole lot, it tends to fall apart. And I
Sure.
don't like my sausage falling apart. So I brown it a little bit, pull it all out, and then put in the chopped trinity
Yeah.
to soak up all that gratin and get good and brown.
Right on. And so you're gonna do your proteins first, and then you'll add in your rice, and then okay, cool.
I'll add in I'll put all the proteins back in after the chopped greens
Right.
have turned clear.
Yeah.
And then I'll put the water. Water ratio is most important thing.
Yeah.
Put in the water, the seasoning, check the water, because that's how you really know how it's going to turn out. It's by tasting the water. And the water sometimes turns out, you want it to turn, when you're doing rice jambalaya, you want the water to taste a little salty, like saltier than you would normally eat it, because that rice just sucks up the salt.
Yeah.
So you want it to be a little saltier. And so then once I get that water, really going and rolling, then I'll put the rice in, fold the rice in a little bit at a time, and then, boil it for probably 8 to 10 minutes until the rice starts to pop.
Yep.
And, that's a funny thing, because you're like, oh, when the rice pops, you're ready to put the top on and cut the fire down, but how do you know what popped rice looks like, And really, it just starts to swell. That's all that is.
Yeah, it swells
up. It just starts to swell a little bit and look like regular rice.
Yeah.
Regular cooked rice. And then put the top on and let it steam on low heat for 20, 30 minutes, and it's done.
Awesome. So how much you making for today?
So this is a 15-gallon pot.
Okay.
So I'm doing 15 gallons. This recipe that I got pushes the pot. The pot will be like 90% full.
Okay.
So I got a little bit of room. I can squeeze like another 2 pounds of rice out of it if I want to. But I've also had it overflow, and that's why the top of my beautiful enclosure is all discolored, because sometimes I'm throwing water on and it stains. I got to figure out how to clean this beautiful brushed aluminum. They'll probably kill it. I'll probably top this one out at 100 people.
Well, it looks like you guys have good weather there, which is awesome.
It's it's 68 degrees and sunny.
Yeah, I was reading it. It's going to probably get up to 75 there. And
Yep.
so you had mentioned that you did this for your daughter's sorority.
Yep.
You're kind of, I mean, on the outside, you look like a house divided on a day like today, right?
Yeah, a day like today we are, and that's why this is my peace offering to the fraternity because I've got, we've got the family all in purple, and then we got some hoodlum friends, coming over from LSU to crash at the house. So this is my
All right.
peace offering so that everybody's happy.
Hopefully you get at least one or two free beers out of that peace offering,
Oh no, there's no shortage of beer at the fraternity house for sure.
Gee, you don't say.
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine that. Yep.
At a university in the South. Uh,
Yeah.
all right, man. Well, thanks a lot. And we'll be talking about 1:45 or so your time.
Yep.
All
Yep. We'll
right.
be ready for the big reveal.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Thanks,
See you,
Evan.
bud. All right. Well, hey, David.
Hey, Jeremy, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Got jambalaya, so I'm ready.
Yeah. I just got mine, and I'm dying here. It smells so good in here. I was telling Gary, I cut it out of the final edit, but I was telling Gary that I wish I had smell-o-vision there because he's doing pork, which is in addition to the sausage, and I think he is going to be doing chicken. I didn't see anything about shrimp, but regardless, he's making enough for 100. Well, he said it's enough for 125 people out of that 15
amount.
gallons. Yeah, and he said, well, with the fraternity boys, it'd probably be more like 100 servings.
I was going to say, if it was all Cajuns, they'd probably only be able to feed about 75. But if it's some of the Alabama people, it's maybe 125 or whatever.
I've got your video queued up and ready to play, and we'll get into that in a moment. But we both went with the Louisiana fish fry product to cook it,
Right.
and as far as when you're making jambalaya, your process for making it, what is do you like injecting things like variations and whatnot? I mean, with your family, do you have to make a certain kind of jambalaya, or can you stay kind of true to the recipe? And how does that work?
I mean, I don't make it enough that they actually have a preference as far as saying they want this versus that. But usually I'll try to put in a little bit of all the components because, the good thing about jambalaya is it can be very versatile. You can, like you said, Gary's got pork, and then what you end up having is I'll put chicken on top of the pork, and then I'll add sausage, but I'll also sometimes add shrimp. So my mom's side, sometimes when they would do it, it would just be simply maybe just shrimp and sausage, shrimp and andouille.
Right.
And then, but what you bring up is also another point is that even though there's always a big gumbos debate, chicken andouille versus seafood. Well, jambalaya, you've got brown jambalaya and red jambalaya.
Right.
And the red is considered more the Creole, the New Orleans based.
Right.
And which has got tomatoes, a tomato paste and tomatoes. And I think you might see a little more seafood in that. I think out in the Cajun prairie lands and even upriver, you get the brown jambalaya where it gets all its color from browning the pork and the chicken and the sausage. So I think I prefer to do the brown. I've done both, but I kind of like the brown myself.
Yeah, what's the Creole dish? I guess it's like shrimp Creole. That would be one where it's a lot more of a tomato base to it. And I for me, it's funny, but I hated tomatoes as a kid. I just hated them. Now, never mind the fact that I would eat pizza and I would eat spaghetti and meat sauce, right? Mm-hmm. But for some reason, you put tomatoes in anything or fresh tomatoes in my salad, they're getting picked up. But as my flavor palette has evolved, I've developed an appreciation for them. But I do find that they still inject a level of acidity into the dish, and I definitely do prefer, if I have my choice, the Acadian style, the Cajun style, red beans and rice, jambalaya. I'm like 4 episodes ago. But one of the things that I found interesting, I had no idea. Gonzales is the jambalaya capital of Louisiana, which kind of makes it the jambalaya capital of the world. Kind of like Scott is the capital of Boudin. Now we've got the capital of being Gonzales for jambalaya. And it seems like they specialize more in the brown jambalaya than they do the red kind. The red seems to be kind of isolated more towards Orleans and Jefferson Parish, and kind of the lower southeast Louisiana. So have you been there? Have you been to any places in Gonzales? Because they have a huge festival of it. I mean,
I haven't been to the festival. I mean, I've been through Gonzales a couple times.
Yeah,
and I think what I was reading is that the origins of jambalaya go. A lot of the times you can trace it all the way back to the Spanish, when the Spanish came in the late 1700s. And paella, I guess is the right way to say it. That paella dish, which is the rice dish, and the paella is named after the pot it's cooked in. And if you look at the Spanish, I think Gonzales was originally called maybe Gonzales Town or something, but I think there was a big Spanish settlement near there, so there's a big Spanish influence. And so I think that they were probably going back to their early days to when they founded that festival. But of course, all up and down the river there, you've got the Andouille Festival, and you've got all these different things up and down that area. So that's part of the fringe of Acadiana, but I still call it part of river parishes because it's right there on the river. So I would fully imagine that would be a brown jambalaya. I think if you look at have you ever looked at the rules for their contest there?
I haven't. They have rules.
Yeah, they got rules.
Okay.
In fact, the reason I know this is because a few years ago, Spuddy Fauché was featured on a TV show. It was called like the Harry Bikers, but there's a British version and there's a U.S. version. These two big burly guys ride across the country in a bicycle, and they learn to cook different dishes from the different areas. Yeah. And so he was doing. They wanted to compete in the jambalaya contest, and they wanted to make a nutria andouille. And so got Spuddy involved. He made that, and
he did.
When they got to the, he did. That's he made it one time. He said, and it said it turned out pretty good, but they couldn't use it because if you go by the rules, I've looked it up. You got mostly got to use chicken and rice at the very least.
Yeah. And
then you have yellow onions, the rest of the Trinity, garlic, red peppers, and such. But I think you ought to be. It looks like you're allowed to use other sausages in there, and then maybe even pork. So I haven't been. I think it'd be a fun time to go to.
Sure.
I can't remember when it is, but I bet you it's fun. And then they also do big pots, and they do little tiny pots too. People really get into it. It's interesting.
Yeah. Well, that spreadsheet you sent me earlier today, I started reading it. I'm going, oh my God, this is ridiculous. I mean, it's probably 10 pages of, there's instructions and calculations, and we'll put a link to that on the website, on the YouTube and Facebook. It's nuts. I mean, what we're doing today is the ultra, if you had long division, short division, this is the short division method. It's going to get the job done. It's going to taste really good. And you'll get the end result that you hopefully you're looking for. But there are lots of ways to get from point A to point B, and just looking at their process and talking to Gary and understanding his process, he's doing it the far more traditional way with the Trinity, and he's browning his pork. He's putting pork in it for one. Neither one of us went. I mean, we went with sausage, which I guess is pork, but he's doing that on top of pork. Right. So the wife asked me, she said, do you want me to put boudin in there? I'm like, no, I don't think so. I mean, it'd be rice product in the rice, and parts would be mushy and other parts wouldn't. So I opted against that. Not to say I'm not against trying, but that's the nice thing about jambalaya is that it comes in all real types of flavors, and obviously you can make it for all size parties.
Yeah, and everything Gary, I agree with everything Gary was telling you on his video.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would be the way I would do it. I've never made one that big, but I actually had a friend here in Alabama who got into. He lived over there in Saint Amant for a while, and he was taught how to make the Cajun Jambalayas, and so he got to doing them over here in Alabama, and he would give me some samples, and he actually gave me a jambalaya pot almost that size. Somebody was getting rid of it, and he gave it to me. I haven't used it yet.
It's the cast iron pot?
Yeah, big cast iron pot.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but he's the one actually I should credit with showing me that calculator that was, I guess, from Tiger Droppings. But yeah, I think that's an engineer and a bunch of people. He took a bunch of people's data and he put it into that spreadsheet. And I've used it. Actually, the last time I made a from scratch jambalaya, I used it, and it came out really well. And a lot of the steps that Gary talked about are emphasized in that calculator. So if folks use that, they will succeed.
Yeah. I did notice that because I had read the spreadsheet prior to talking with Gary, and I'm like, did he read the same thing that I just read? Because it was almost verbatim, as far as what how does he go about making the jambalaya? And of course, they include the pork in that recipe as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably time for us to try a little of ours.
Oh yeah.
You want to do that?
Sure.
Okay. You said you just heated yours up or reheated yours up?
Yeah, I reheated it since I made it
earlier. You cooked it this morning, yeah.
Yeah. Smells good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Yeah, this hits the spot. This is great. I mean, I agree with you. It's probably a little bit on the salty side. One of the things I did do differently is I used the spicy sausage from Double D instead of the mild.
Yeah, I did mild this time.
Yeah. Yeah, the sausage, the chicken seems to absorb the least amount of flavor, whereas the sausage, just being what it is, it's flavorful, and then it's soaking in some of those juices.
So I was going to add one other point that I've heard people, I guess real jambalaya aficionados who pride themselves on cooking their jambalayas from scratch, will discern the fact that the rice that they use is not parboiled.
Right.
They use regular rice, and so in this mix is actually, because it only took with
30
browning
minutes?
30 minutes with browning.
With browning, okay.
Well, by itself, yeah. I mean, browning probably added, let's say 45 minutes.
Okay, that's not bad.
Because if I cut everything up, now if you already had your chicken cooked, and so if you had some smoked chicken, for example,
right,
and some sausage you could cut up and just maybe sauteed that, and then just threw that in the pot, and then on top of that you put it together, you could probably have it done in 30 minutes tops. And if you wanted to do a little more from scratch, you can make it an hour tops. I mean, just depending on how much you wanted to add to it. But they give you the exact amount of water, like Gary was emphasizing, for that amount of ingredients in there. The other thing, which you'll see, I guess, in the video, is that I browned my meats in a cast iron pot.
Right.
But then there's a lot of, like he talked about, gratons at the bottom, the crunchy parts.
Yeah.
I went ahead and I added some of my water back to that to scrape that up, so I could put that back into the pot. So I captured all those flavors.
Right.
So like I said, and I've had 3 or 4 different Louisiana fish fry products, and I've always been really surprised and pleased at how well they turn out, how authentic I think they turn out. So this one, they're still, I guess, like 4-0 for me so far. Yeah,
well, I mean, and I looked at it, they're legit. They're out of Baton Rouge, and it says proudly manufactured in Louisiana. So they just have a reach. You can get them up here fairly easily, if not online. But there's a lot of grocery stores, like Walmart. I heard carries it up here. So,
and they're very affordable too. I mean, they're not a like a real difficult. I mean, they're at a really good price point, in my opinion. To put them in your, like we talked about for a college student. I mean, you could send a care package to a college student from Louisiana with this and the red beans for 2, and they wouldn't have to require a whole lot. I think when my brother was at Tulane, all he had was like a little burner, a single burner, And I mean, you could get by with something like that with these 2 type of products.
Yeah. It looks like Gary's here, and he is about to do the reveal. So let's go ahead and switch over to him.
Sure.
I'll assign him to guest 2. And all right, Gary.
I have intro music with that. Hey, can you see me?
I see your crotch.
Okay, good. That's perfect. Let me see. We had phone trouble here for a second.
Okay,
there we go.
Yeah.
All right. So now you have me?
I got you. Lots of purple there.
All right, good.
Looking good.
Yeah, no, we actually have a good crowd. A few people followed me, because they know I'm cooking over here. And, of course, it's a huge game for LSU and Alabama. So
Yeah.
Most of Baton Rouge came. And, of course, Tuscaloosa always represents.
Yep.
So we're having a pretty good day. It's beautiful weather, as you can see. And the jambalaya is ready. We're about to do the big unveiling.
Cool.
After cooking it down. And this is it. We're ready. And I'm going to feed all these people with this 15-gallon pot. So I'm happy to be joining the Rainy Cajun podcast.
Absolutely.
And show you what I've been working on most of the morning.
Well, thanks for joining us. Let's see what you got, man. Reveal the goods.
All right. If you're ready, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Here we go. Boy, I hope this is good. If this is a big I'll be really upset. I've done this a couple 1,000 times, so I know what I'm doing.
Let's hope you got it right. Oh, yeah.
There we go.
There you go, man. Look at that. Look at that.
There we are. Beautiful.
So that'll feed 10 of you.
Yeah. 15 gallons, so it's a fair amount.
Yeah, it is a fair amount.
I think if I get in the car right now, I can be there in 3 hours.
That's right. Gary David's down in he's in Mobile.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I can't guarantee there'll be any left because these fraternity boys have had it. They've had it a couple of times, so they know what's about to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, here we are. They're all starting to crowd around me. They know what's happening. But yeah, that's it. We got it. It looks
nice,
perfect.
man.
Looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, you go feed those hungry people. All right.
Yeah. No. Thank you for letting me join and let me show you what I got going on. And go Tigers.
All right. Go Tigers, man. All right. See you later, Gary.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that's quite the quite the process to do what he's doing.
Yeah, I think like he talked about folding it. I think where a lot of people make mistakes is that once you cook it, he emphasized the popping and then steaming.
Yep.
And I think what happens is a lot of times people get in there and stir too much, and when you do, a lot of the carbohydrates or whatever you want to call it, whatever
gluten.
I think I'm forgetting all the terms, but anyway, you break down the glutens and you break it down, and I think it ends up being sticky, and you end up with your rice. Some people like sticky rice, some people don't.
Right.
And so I think that the preferred methodologies, you don't really, if you're cooking just rice by itself, you'll let it boil, then you simmer, and then you let it go for like 10 minutes or so, and you don't touch it. And
right.
It's basically the same thing here, but you've got your seasoned liquid that's been highly seasoned and over seasoned if you were just tasting it, because like you said, if it's too salty, you think it's going to come out bad, but once all that rice absorbs all that, it balances out. So it takes a lot of practice. And I mean, I guess the distant cousin of jambalaya is the pastalayas that have become popular. I don't know, have you ever had pastalaya?
No, I haven't, but it seems to be something that when authentic, quote unquote, authentic Cajuns want to make fun of non-authentic Cajuns, they have like Nick Saban eating pastalaya while, Coach Kelly's eating regular jambalaya. So I've not had it. I'm open to it. I mean, it's in that spreadsheet.
Yeah. I had it, the first time I ever had it, we were doing work down in St. Gabriel at the chemical plant I was working at, and some of the contractors made it for the plant. I mean, there's no place better to sample it for the first time. St. Gabriel's not that far from Gonzales. And,
right.
I mean, I don't know, I didn't see the actual cooking process. All I saw was they had several styrofoam containers with it, but it was really good. And when I was back at the plant in Alabama, they actually had some people come from one of the other cities in Louisiana to come and actually cook it for us as well. And I watched them, and it's a little more forgiving is what people say, because you do have pretty much all the steps the same.
Right.
I'm not sure what the water ratios are, but you put the pasta in, and I think it's more forgiving than your rice because you're not turning it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think it's pretty good. I mean, if you're going to argue about, nouveau Cajun, you may say like black and red fish is the same thing.
Yeah. That's a whole nother discussion and rant.
Right. But, I would embrace it and taste it. I mean, but folks like DJ Rhett and some, they give a lot of that folks a lot of grief over that. But hey, if you get a good pastalaya, I wouldn't complain too much.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, I got DJ Rhett in here. He's now a character. He's going to show up right underneath you.
Oh, is he?
I don't know. He had that bra thing going. I guess that was during the pandemic. So I tagged him. Anyway, well, so we've got. I wanted to go through your video real quick. I did edit it down, so there may be some stuff that you remember taking pictures of, and just because I think it was 8 minutes long, and I didn't know what the timing
it was
with
pretty
it.
long.
Yeah, but so this is this is you're going through the box, what you normally do, which is great because you kind of set the stage for what it is that you're going to be cooking with. And you got Rouse's chicken and Louisiana shrimp. I can't get Louisiana shrimp. There's no way. I mean, I could, but it'd spend a stupid amount of money on shrimp. Yeah.
I found that at a good deal yesterday, and so that's why I decided to throw it in. And then I just use, like you said, the regular double D smoked sausage instead of the spicy. And then chicken breast is what I use, but there may be points of contention. Some people probably rather use thigh meat.
Yeah, we ended up using thigh for this one.
Yeah. And I probably, honestly, if you're doing it like a traditional one, a little slower cooked one, I'd probably go with the thigh meat because it's got a richer flavor. But I was thinking when I was talking about that, one of my on my mom's side, we had a family reunion back, 30-something years ago, out around Luling or something. I remember we went to the cousin's house, and they were serving the jambalaya out of a big pot, bigger than the one Gary had, and they actually had whole bones from chickens, like chicken legs and such.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So I thought that was kind of cool. Some people may be put off by that. As long as you didn't choke on any of the stuff, you're good.
Right. I know, it's not like you're dealing with fish bones that are,
right.
It's those really thin ones that are hard to pick out. So, I mean, this is you browning the meats, right?
Yeah, I just browned it back in the same grease renderings from sausage.
Right. And then I did edit out the cup of what looked like dirty dishwater, but that was your That was the gratin, and that was your water plus what came off the bottom of the pot.
Right.
So I found this interesting. You ended up cooking the shrimp earlier than I would have thought. Did that make any difference at all as far as the doneness of the shrimp?
No, I mean, you got a good point, because a lot of times I try not to put the shrimp in until last 5 minutes or so for most dishes. I thought about that with this, but because of the fact that you have the top on it and you're trying to let it steam,
right?
And these are small, I kind of figured these would be more of seasoning shrimp. A lot of times, if you follow when John Foles cooks, he talks about, like, if he's doing shrimp or crab meat, if you got a pound, he'll put like a quarter or half a pound in at the beginning. He says he's sacrificing it, and then that'll cook down, and you hardly won't even see it. But then at the end, you include the real fresh pieces that you want.
Right.
So that's why I went with it this way, and I think it came out fine. It's not too rubbery or anything. I mean, they were small enough. I think they cooked well.
Yeah. Okay. And this is right. Yeah, this is right when you started serving it.
Yep.
And you're happy with the results.
Yeah, I've made them from scratch before that it wasn't as good as this, so I was pretty pleased.
Yeah. Well, what's nice about having this box is, like, in a pinch, no pun intended, you have very respectable jambalaya, right?
Yeah. I think the first jambalaya I made was when I was moved away to Tallahassee to Florida State, and I had a small Cajun Creole cookbook I got before I moved away, because, as you know, when you move away and you don't have the foods you grew up on, it sucks.
Yeah.
So, so I went to the Publix out there. I got the things that I needed, but there was jambalaya, and I think it was actually the first dish I made solo, and it made a big pot. And I actually used beef broth for some reason, and ham, I think, is what it had in it, and mushrooms. And I just remember eating it, and I was like, man, I was impressed with what I was able to do. And I ate on it for 3 days, but I didn't complain, because, it tasted really good.
Yeah.
So I must have lucked out as far as the technique. I don't think it called for parboiled rice then, but it might have been probably a little mushier than in reality, but it was the closest thing I had to eating at the house, my mom's. So
you were in college. It's not like you went to culinary school before you left to go get your degree. So I think we'll give you a pass. Most people who go to college, they will survive on a box of mac and cheese. That's what they do. I know that's what I did. Hell, that's what I did when I moved to San Francisco. Before anybody judges me, there was things in San Francisco I just was not interested in. So, when I was young, that's what I would eat. And at 99 cents a box, or back then, I think it was 50 cents a box.
Probably.
Can't go wrong. Wrong. Except maybe a big belly, but other than that, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, well, that probably happens a lot of times with people not eating any of that either, too. So,
yeah.
But you're talking about colleges. It actually kind of reminded me, one of the guys who's well known for tailgating. I don't know if you've ever seen him around LSU. Is a guy named Jay Ducote, and he got to where, I can't remember if they're doing political science or something, but he'd go to the games and tailgate at Tiger Stadium. And then he started a blog where he would just go around town taking pictures of the different local foods he was eating. And before long, he got a pretty good following. And then he actually had a radio show. And he's got his brand of like Jay's, or I don't know if it's called JD's barbecue sauce and stuff. But he's was able to take that passion of tailgating and go beyond just the weekend warrior type thing with it. So maybe they'll offer a degree in tailgating at LSU. Who knows?
If you're going to start somewhere, LSU is probably the place to do it.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, cool. I think with this, we'll wrap the video part of this, because we are 40 minutes in, so we're actually good on time. And then you and I will do our stuff where we stuff our faces and chit-chat for a while. So let me switch over real quick here and wrap the show, and then we'll get to some talking.
Sure.
All right. Well, that's it for today's episode of the Rainy Cajun Podcast. Now, whether you're watching us live or on the replay, we really do appreciate, and when I say we, David, of course, because we both put in a fair amount of work to make these episodes happen, and your participation, whether or not you're watching us live or you're watching us on the replay, we really appreciate it. Seriously, from the bottom of our heart. And we would be remiss if we didn't ask for you to hit the like and subscribe buttons. If you like the show, great. If you are able to subscribe, that's even better, because then you can receive updates when we post them. Like I have a little goodie box that arrived yesterday, and I have not opened it yet, but I'm going to do a live unboxing, and it's from New Orleans. So I believe this will be something that will be something worth viewing, because it's probably going to be the subject of a future episode. Finally, with it being game day and all, I wanted to play a little hype video to get you in the mood. It's short, but if it doesn't give you goosebumps and get you pumped, you may want to head over to the ER and have your vitals checked, at least your pulse.
What does it take to win?
You didn't really think I was going to play a video with wall-to-wall copyrighted content on this show, did you? That said, if you do want to see the whole video, look up Tiger Mania, one word, on YouTube, and you can watch over and over again until you're sufficiently pumped. I did want to thank David for bestowing his knowledge of jambalaya on us, and of course, Gary for being our boots on the ground. Thanks for joining us. This is Jeremy the Rainy Cajun, and I am signing out. Take care, y'all.